Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Jackson Tortone, and I'm joined tonight by Nick Volpe, the president of PSN TV. Well, thank you so much for coming in here tonight, Nick.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
I want to start out, what is your year, major, and describe how you got into PSN TV in the first place.
Yeah, so I'm a senior right now, majoring in telecommunications. I first joined PSN TV the end of my first semester, my freshman year. I got a Bob Martin email like everybody else, and I heard that they were shooting a pilot for this new sports show that was coming out, and it was like the last week of the semester. So I went, and that was kind of my first introduction into this studio and PSN TV as a whole. But in terms of actual PSN TV, I didn't actually get involved until probably the start of my sophomore year. So I was with this one show, but then brought it myself later.
Mm-hmm. And what was that one show?
Yeah, it's formerly known as Basketball Today. Now it's known as 360 Sports, which has been around for now a full year and a half, which has been crazy. So that's been super fun.
Yes. And so what was your first time, being a member of the executive board for PSN TV before it became president?
Yeah, so I first joined the executive board of PSN TV the beginning of my sophomore year as Thon chair. At the beginning of every year, PSN TV has what we call PSN TV Week, where basically all of the exec board and a lot of the producers come in and we teach the freshmen and new members, how to operate the cameras, how to operate the teleprompter and graphics, all the things in the control room, how to read a prompter and all things like that. So it was during that where I really got introduced to PSN TV exec, and I'm like, man, I really want to be a part of this group. So I applied as Thon chair, and then I think in late October, early November, I came in as Thon chair, and so I was running all of PSN TV's Thon pursuits, I guess.
And so were there any other executive positions that you held besides Thon chair before you became president?
No, it was just Thon chair. I had known that I definitely wanted to have more of a leadership role besides Thon chair, but I also had wanted to get more involved in Thon and have more of a leadership position in the club that I was in. So to me, it was a perfect match. And then once the opportunity for president came in, I took it, and now I'm here, which has been pretty wild.
Going off that, describe the process of applying and how you became president from the former president.
Yeah, so the former president, Tim Rogers, he graduated last year. I think he's with the Jets now, the New York Jets, so that's pretty awesome. He opened up applications, I think in February, and I applied, and it took a little bit to get the interview started, but then I interviewed just with him. And it was an intense interview. I remember really, that was probably the interview at that time that I had prepped for the most. I was extremely focused, and I had wanted it really bad because I dedicated a lot of time into this club, and I felt that I really could add a lot of value to the network as a whole. And I spent a lot of time researching and preparing for that interview. So it was with him. I thought it went well. And he must have too, you know what I mean? So 2 weeks later, he called me while I was in class, so I bolted out of class. It was Com 380, I'm sorry, Professor Feltman, but I bolted out and he gave me the call. He said, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, absolutely. So the first 3 weeks, that was the end of my sophomore year, by the way. So the first 3 weeks of that was me just literally learning all the little things, how to do Org Central and reaching out to group meets, the events, how to log into the Instagram, all the little things that you really don't understand until you get into the position. I had those 3 weeks to learn with him, and that was really important. And so that's how I started.
Well, you kind of stuck your tone to the next question. So describe some of your responsibilities as PSN TV president.
Yeah, I'm one of the biggest things. It's hard to describe a role like that. The way you say it is you just you oversee the network and the executive board and the shows within it. That's super broad and really doesn't mean anything. What I do is I mainly just try to give everybody opportunities to do whatever they want within the bounds of the studio that we're in now. One of the biggest ones is either holding events or opting for new shows. Your election coverage that you did was a huge one. When you guys brought that up, I was so game, and I thought that would have been so innovative and creative, and I wanted to be able to give you guys an opportunity to do that. So that's kind of my main role. I do things like make sure new members get introduced into the group meets, and the one thing I do want to shout out is the executive board that I have with me. I'm not the boss of anybody. I don't get paid to do this work. I don't pay you guys to do this work. And I have an executive board with me. It's me and 6 other members, and we all are just one big unit, one big mind, and we want to make decisions as a whole that benefit the network. And even when I was Thon chair, that was the exact same dynamic. And, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to continue that and be a group, helping everybody, not just me as like the president or the leader helping everybody.
That was a very thorough analysis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have there been any like challenging moments in your presidency where your character was challenged and maybe you grew as a person a little bit?
Absolutely. Oh my God, when is it not? Yeah, one thing that this role taught me, and I will appreciate this. Yeah, I didn't appreciate it at the time, but I appreciate it now. Is just learning how to get thick skin. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who have a lot of stuff to say about the things you do or the way things are ran. They think they can do it, all that type of stuff. And that's all good criticism, and I take that and I really try to, reflect on it and see how I can benefit as many people as possible. But the ability to get a thick skin and to hear criticism and not let it personally affect you, but at the same time reflect on it and try to improve is just such a valuable lesson. And I've been, seeking guidance with Emily Clevenger and Gary Abdullah, and they're teaching me so much. And the one thing I do say, when people ask me a question like that is, how lucky am I and how lucky is everybody else in these positions to learn that now, so that going into our first job post-grad or whatever our next step is, we now have that lesson in our back pocket and can use that not only in an interview but in life in general. So it's been great.
Well, another perfect lead in. So one final question. So what are your plans now that you're going to graduate, and like what's your post-college, post-president plans?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be passing on the mantle to Emma Goldkopf, the current vice president. So that'll happen in a week at PSN TV Awards. I'm so excited for that. She is absolutely incredible and deserves all that's coming for her. But for me, I'm still interviewing, still trying to find that first job. I have a couple interviews here and there lined up, but we'll see. You never know. But I'm excited, and I know that this role that I've gotten and I've been given has helped me so much, and I would not be in a position to get these jobs without that 100%.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Now stick around, because coming up next, Audrey and Caitlin will have the latest news from across the nation.